Oh man! All right, let's move on to our next topic. This actually is going to be one that actually I think this might be in your news, actually, Greg, but I'm not sure if it's going to be or not.
Okay.
But we'll roll with it. Okay, and then let me go ahead. If you're wondering why I'm taking a little long to move on to the next topic, because I'm tweeting these topics out. So for those on Twitter, who are following us or seeing the hashtags, they hang on podcast. Oops. You get to see when to come in for the topic on Twitter and hop in to check it out. Anyways, okay. So our next topic, this was reported. Oops, hang on, wrong link. There we go. This was reported by Kotaku.com, written by Nathan Grayson. Riot, Blizzard, and Twitch are teaming up to fight toxic game behavior. For years now, gaming companies like Riot, Blizzard, and Twitch have been fighting online abuse and harassment in their own ways to mix results. Now they're trying something different, working together. The Fair Play Alliance is a coalition made up of over 30 different companies, including Riot, Blizzard, Twitch, CCP, and Epic, that aims to share research and lessons learned around gaming communities in the hope of cutting down on disruptive behavior. The goal, Riot Senior Technical Director Kimberly Wohl told Kotaku, is to create a consistent set of behavior standards between companies and common understanding of the underlying issues that cause poor behavior in online communities. The hope is that developers won't have to start from square one anymore when creating online games. And the entire, you can read the rest of the article later on Kotaku if you guys want to. I would link it in the chat, but my computer's too potato for it.
So, okay, first and foremost, this article cracks me up. The whole concept of it makes me laugh, and I'll tell you why. It's absurd to me that they're doing this now. Toxicity in games has been around since as long as multiplayer online games have existed. Mm-hmm. The difference between then and now is that multiplayer online games didn't become a huge hot commodity until like Xbox and other games started adding online capabilities to it, and then people were just like, oh, like I could play online. And when certain games like World of Warcraft became such a huge thing, like, yes, we had Quake, we had Doom in the past, great, but those weren't, millions of people playing them. It was a couple 100,000, maybe less than that, maybe 10,000 people, but regardless, like a very small community of people. Now that we have huge communities of people playing various games, the toxicity is obviously going to be there.
I personally think the reason why more video game companies are stepping in to combat this toxicity is the fact that it's more public now. Like people are more streamers.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Anthony. That's what I'm getting at, because there's more people playing the games on various consoles and PCs, and I'm talking about millions and millions of people playing online games. It's more in the public eye. It's not that it hasn't existed. It's like I say, like stupid people didn't become more stupid people in the world. More stupid people were given a soapbox. That's the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the same thing with online toxicity. It's always been there, mm-hmm. and now they want to do something about it. That makes me laugh, where they should have done something in the past. Now, that being said, I'm okay with this. I think it's a good idea that they're doing something, but the problem is how do you handle this? Because as long as you have in-game chat, like let's say with Overwatch or League of Legends or whatever on PC, you're going to have toxicity. Mm-hmm. Sure, you can block somebody, you can report somebody, but when Overwatch is getting an absurd amount of reports and complaints about the player base and stuff like that, like daily, to the extent that it's stopping them from doing stuff, the Riot comes out and says it's becoming a major problem for us to try to handle all of this. We had to hire more people just to handle the complaints. Like, yeah, there's clearly a problem. Well, I can tell you how to solve it. Don't have in-game chats. I understand you have it there to allow the players to communicate. That's great. That's awesome. But it clearly spawns some negativity. Maybe construct a thing that allows people to like have singular commands, like console Overwatch has.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the most, like let's take Rocket League for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Rocket League, you can type a message, but it's a lot harder because the game is much faster, right? Especially on console. So when someone misses a save, people just chime in with what a save.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you lose in Overwatch, somebody will be like, thanks as many times as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things aren't that bad. It's toxicity. It's getting angry because you lost and you're just a sore loser. All that kind of stuff. You want to blame your team when in reality it was probably your fault too.
Yeah.
The point I'm getting at, Anthony, is how do you solve this while still allowing people to play the game as intended and be a team? Like, that's the problem that I see. You can combat it as much as you want, but unless you change a mindset, it's never going away.
Yeah, it is definitely a hard thing to tackle. And when I spoke about this, like when you had your news piece in your Overwatch minute when it came to what's his name? The guy who heads Overwatch and Blizzard.
Jeff Kaplan?
Yeah. Like he said when he said he wanted to control, like he wants to fix the toxicity issue, you know, and I told you, like, you know, you're always gonna have toxicity, no matter what scene or what genre or whatever, it's always gonna be there. And, you know, you cut off one head, you're gonna spawn 3 more. So like it's always gonna be there. In terms of like how much you can minimize that is the real
not to get overly political, but that is also a it goes into my theory about racism. You know, racism's always going to be there. The difference is, and it's much like Dick Gregory said, it never goes away. It just goes into hiding until it can rear its ugly head again. Mm-hmm. I'm paraphrasing. He said it way better, more eloquent than I did. But it's the same thing with online toxicity. You can do what you want to make it go away, but until a new game comes out that allows people to be toxic again, like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like it comes down to that whole thing of like, sure, we could censor parts of the internet, we could censor parts of Reddit, like they're trying to do, and maybe Tumblr's trying to do, or like get rid of 4chan and 8chan. Like, yeah, we could try to do that, but that's censoring people's freedom to just do what they want, which it goes against the core fundamentals of being on the internet. Like it's less about how the developers should be handling it and more about how the good players should be handling it. How bad is the toxicity? Is it half of the player base? Is it a quarter? Because I guarantee you it's maybe 5% of the player base. And then the other 95% just play the game for fun.
Right, yeah. It's definitely going to be an interesting thing as far as like how exactly this would be approached by this coalition of companies. And you know, it's going to be a very hard thing for any company really to tackle. And as far as like how that look like, I don't know exactly how that would look like for future games or whatnot. And you know, could you potentially like teach an entire culture or entire community to change their ways? It's a lot to ask.
It is, and I hope that whatever they decide to do works. I really do. But again, I just don't think you can do it without changing the mindset.
Yeah. And this has been the mindset for a lot of people. Not to say like everybody is like this, but like a good portion. It's the competitive mindset. Yeah.
You know, people hate to lose in general.
Mm-hmm.
And not just in sports, but just everything. People hate to lose. Mm-hmm. When you're having an argument with somebody about a fact and you find out you're wrong, you hate that. You absolutely hate that. And the royal you goes to everybody. I don't know somebody that's just like, man, I like being wrong. I just get my rocks off on that. Like, nobody does that. So, but usually 9 times out of 10, what does someone do when they're wrong? They don't just go, ah, shucks. They usually go, ah, fuck you. Like, it's a knee-jerk reaction, and that's just kind of what's happening online with the toxicity. So, how do you change that? Well, in programming-wise, the fuck if I know.
Yeah.
I don't think it can happen. I really don't. I'm super, super like negative right now about it, but I just don't think it's possible.
If they can,
go ahead. I think really needs to happen, Anthony, is, and this is going to sound really shitty. This is going to sound along the lines of like what fucking I think Mark Rubio said, which was like, we need to teach students in schools how to do CPR instead of taking guns away from American citizens. But we need to be teaching people who are playing these games to maybe have thicker skins, to not get so upset so easily by the toxicity. Yeah, that. Yeah. Because I mean, that's what I do. Like, I get messages on Xbox pretty frequently, people telling me how shitty I am at the game or how awful I am or whatever, and I usually turn it around. I usually make a joke. Like the other day, a guy messaged me and he was just like, "You're actually terrible at Siege," and I was just like, "Yeah, okay." Actually, no, he sent that, and it was he said he put "UR" instead of "your," so I grammar corrected him, and then he came back at me and he was just like into like a full on like voice message, like yelling at me about how I shouldn't correct his grammar and that he doesn't play games to learn how to spell, he plays games to get good. And then later comes at me with like I didn't say anything back, and then he comes back, he's like, "Actually, you have Deku as your profile picture, that's cool." And I was just like, "Dude, you blowing up because I corrected your grammar was hysterical." And he's just like, "Yeah, I just got mad, and I was pissed off that we lost because you couldn't get 2 kills." And I was like, "Dude, you just have to deal with it. Just like quell the anger and move on with your life. It ain't that important." He's like, "Yeah, I know." But had I been somebody else, I could have reported him. I could have just straight up sent it to Microsoft saying, "This guy insulted me because I was playing a video game. Wham me," but I didn't. And I think if more people have the mindset that I have in that regard, things would be a little bit better, especially for the developers. So I'm just, that's what I'm throwing out there. Like I said, it's not a solution, but it's definitely something I'd like to see a little bit more of, because I feel like too many people get too butthurt about anything real easily. So
yeah, definitely, and that's a good mentality to have for sure. But again, we have to wait and see. Although I think you and I kind of akin to like, will this change to the entire culture of the game, of the gaming people in terms of like how they act?
Like it's a mentality above anything. So.
Yeah. So, all right. So, moving on to our next topic at hand. So